Hey, Sniki here, and in this part we will fix our brres and add animations and replace the water and the river with Nintendo's materials and shaders. So let's look into our brres with Brawlbox. So we open it and we open this, and the first thing we have to do is change the brightness. We'll open here the preview of our cars and I will move it to here. So it is really bright. So we have to go to shaders, to shader 0, go to stage 0 and go to scale and multiply by 2. Let's move a little bit farther away, and this should be fine. The problem is the Brawlbox preview is not the same as in-game. So if this is not exactly, if this is still too bright, you have to change this to a lower number. So multiply by 1. I think I will use multiply by 1, or yeah, by 1. So if it is too dark, you just change the multiplier to a higher or to a lower if it's too bright, still too bright. The next thing we have to do is change this texture here, these mountains and our river here. So the mountain here is, first we have to look into the texture. The texture type is at the moment CMPR. That means, and it contains here full transparency here. These black and white things here at the top are full transparent. Yeah, it's full transparent. And to enable it in the model, we have to go to the material, to our material here, wall, background. We have to click this material, go up here, go to alpha functions, and use these settings here. 80 greater or equal and 255. You already see here the black, this black transparency here is now really transparent. So the next thing you see here a little, so you see here still a texture here at the top. In our case, we can fix this if we go to the material, go to the reference, and we can say here in texture reference if the texture should be repeating itself to the U-axis or V-axis. You can try some settings if something works. But in our case, here's our UV map. We have to change it. We could put this texture a little bit lower, but I will try to use this setting here. This should be already fine. Yeah, okay. The preview is looking fine. So we have to look where the material gets its texture from. Here, there. So the UV map, and you can change this here if the texture should mirror itself, or it should repeat, or clam. Clam means it just it uses the texture one time in this coordinate. There are also other transformations here to move the texture farther up or farther down, but in this case I just need to clam this texture here. So next thing, we have to fix this river. I will just take this as an example. because I will replace this with a Nintendo river, a Koopa Cup. If you have a texture with the format IA8 or a texture with RBGA8 or AA4, so every format with an A here in it. So this, or this, you have to go to, so to fix this black texture here, you have to go to the material. So river, go to the material, we go to blend mode, and enable it. You can already see the difference here. We go to XLU material, enable it, and we have to go to objects and go to our river and use this option here. I draw path, use the transparent. So let's see if you have this setting right. Okay. So this is what you have to do if your texture is this format with an A here. The next thing I want to do is replace our water, our river, our boost panel, and our river with Koopa Cup textures. So I want the water here, the river, and the boost panel from Koopa Cup. So we have to go to the Koopa Cup SCS file, that's water course, and I will this time open it with CTools SCS Explorer. So I'll open it. I go to the dot folder, click the course model, brres, export it. I will export it in this folder. And I use the slot name, so I remember the brres here. And I already exported it. So I go to the brres and open it with the drawbox. Let's see if this is really Koopa Cup. This should be Koopa Cup. Yeah. We are looking from underneath in the trackpad here. So we want the. I will just replace the water texture as an example. So let's look into the model. This is the boost panel, and here this is a water texture. It is black, but the shaders make it blue and so on. So let's see. We click into the material folder, click material, and click through the reference. And I think this is the water material. Yeah, you can see here the sun, the water waves, and here's the water texture. So if you want this material in your model, you have to export this material, export it, and I will save it next to my brres. Material. So I will save it here to this destination, and I will add to the name _m so I know this is a material. So if I use it again, I know which material this is. And the next thing we have to extract is the shader. You have to go to the material, to the shader, and in this case, this material is using shader 15. So we go to shaders and export the shader 15, the fifth shader. export it, shader 15, and I will call it EF. See, yeah. So I know this material is connected with this shader. So this, no, we now need the textures here. So we have to extract this texture, this and this. The name of the texture is also the name of the reference here. So EFPRG glow is PRG glow here. And now we extract these textures. But we have to know the format it was. So if you extract it, you don't know the format. So I'll extract it. Oh, that was replaced. I recode, export, also to material, and I will add the format as a name to it, so I know later which format it used. Save this and extract the water one. Oh, not recode, extract, export, I8. It used I8 as format, and the waves. Export as I8. So if I am imported, I know which format it uses. Save it. So now we can already replace our water texture here. So we go to our brres. Let's click on it. And now we replace our material with the Koopa Cup material. So replace and use the material for the material. Replace. You can already see something is different, but it needs the textures and the shader. Also the shader. To add the shader, we go to course, right click it, and say add new shader. And now we have to replace the shader. So replace the shader, and we add the textures. We click this here, right click it, import texture, and now we import these textures. This is format I8. It is already I8. Add the next one, IA8, this one, and the last one, IA8. Okay. And now you have to go to the material and change the shader option here to 1. Now if we update our view here, we go to shaders and we open the preview here and can close this, and this should be what is wrong here? Let's see. Oh, this texture is wrong. Oh, okay. The name is wrong here. So try to use this texture here, but since we renamed it, it's it's a other name. So yeah, let's change this name, these names here. Okay. So now if we preview here, it uses Koopa Cup texture here. But the problem is the scaling is not right. But we can change it in the material. Go to the reference and use the scale of 1. So we get our scale, which we used. 1, and I will update the preview here. And yeah. So the preview is not exactly the in-game view, but you see the changes here. I will change this texture scale to 0.6 and 0.6. So now I will replace. So now the texture should work. But what you have to mind here is, I want now the boost panels and the material shaders too. If you add a new shader, the material has to be at the bottom of this material folder. If it uses the bottom shader. So in the next case, I want the boost shader. So we have to change the option here to true, and we have to move this material down. This is just to make sure shaders work. There can be some bugs if the zero shaders is, so if the material with the shader 0 is underneath a material with a shader 2. So that we have a material ordered here after the shaders. So our materials with shader 0 are on top, and our one material with the shader 1 is beneath the 0 ones. So we move the material with shader 2 to underneath the material with shader 1. So we can use move down here, right click and move down, or use control and down. So the material with the shader 2 is underneath the water material. That's very important to, sometimes there are some bugs. I don't know why this is so important here, but that's something you have to know. And now I will replace the boost panel with the Koopa Cup one. So now our texture should be replaced with the Koopa Cup materials, shaders, and textures. At the moment the boost panel doesn't look right, but I don't think that's a problem. I think Brawlbox just doesn't update at the moment. Let's see if I can update this. Did we use the right one? Shader, boost, and the textures. Use the textures. Let's see in game if. First we have to add animations. Here. So at the moment our boost panels, our water, and our river isn't moving at all. So to add animations, we go to course, we go to our brres here, right click it, add new, and texture animation. Now we can rename it to something remarkable. This is not important here to rename this. Now we add a new entry, right click, new entry, and here we have to use the material name we want to move. I want first the water material. So I will copy the name of this material and rename this here. So this is now connected to this. So our animation will use this material. And now we can add entries which of these references should be moved. And we want to move this reference and this reference. But first we have to change some settings here. We click our animation here, go to version and change it to 5. And we can change here the frame count. So 60 frames are 1 second in game. So if you want your texture, like after 3 seconds it should repeat itself. But I will use 400. That should be fine. Yeah, you can change it later too. And it should loop, so we enable loop here. And now we can go to our material, to our reference. So texture ID here is 0, and 0 means the first one in the material. And we want also the second reference here to be moved. And here in this render we can change the scale of the texture over time, the rotation, and the transformation. So transformation means if the texture should move. I will use 1 at frame 1, and at frame 401 I will use 0 at the transformation. So if you go to your preview, click here this bar, click here the animation, click here this course, the animation name is this here, and you can now click this bottom bar and play. You can already see the texture here is moving. So this is the preview, and this here is to test if the animation is working. So let's add this texture too to the animation, this bottom texture, this here. Let's say we start at -2 and go to 0. We change here the scale, but if we use animation, it will use the scale of 1. So I used 1.6 and I will use it in the animation option 2. 1.6 and 1.6. But I think we don't see this texture in our preview here. We have to look it in game if this is working. But now I want to animate the boost panel. We can't see it. I changed the texture for the animation to 1. 1 looks. Yeah. Or I will try to reopen it. This fixes some problems with the shaders too. So I will save our brres. I don't overwrite our original one. And reopen it. Go to preview and go to our boost panel. Let's see. Oh yeah, the reloading. I fixed the texture here. The preview. Okay, now we can animate this too and see the changes. So let's add a new material here. We name the animation material to the material here. New entry. And we want to, yeah, that should be animated, and these two should be animated too. So let's add 2 entries. So this uses this texture animation is for this reference, this texture animation is for this reference, and this texture animation is for this one. Just to again repeat the process here. So this is moving from left to right, or this should move from left to right. And from left to right is this coordinate x. And we start at -1 and end with 0. Now the color should change if we look into our animation. Yeah, it's getting darker here, if you can see it. And a little bit purple, yellow again. So the color is already changing, but our arrow is not moving. So let's change this reference here. And this moves from the bottom to the top. So we have to go to epsilon, epsilon, from -to 0. And since this texture has to be the same, like so these are the same, they have to animate the same way. But this texture is not as white as this one. This is a little bit, you have to know this. This is the reason because, the reason is because we go to the texture. You can see here the width of this one is 32 and the width of this texture is 64. So we have to scale this one double so right, or this one half as wide. So we go to this one. I will double this texture. So 2. And we add animation here from -1 to 0. Is it the same? Yeah, and we scaled here the texture. Let's look again if the arrow is moving now. Oh, okay. It is working, but now we have 2 arrows here. So you have to scale this one down and this one down too. So here we use the scale of 1, and here we use the scale of 0.5. Let's test it again. And it is working. I think I will use a faster speed. So I will increase here the transformation from -2 to 0. Now let's look at it again. And it should move faster. Okay. And now I want to animate the river. For the river I use another technique. I will use the original animation. So you don't have to make your own animation here. Let's go to the original one. Go to our material we used. I used this one for the river. So U river, WT river. We'll look into the animations and search for the WGU river. This one. So if you really want the same animation, you extract this one. I will call it the river. Close this one, and now you can import the original texture animation. Import texture animation, the river one, and we have to rename this to the material. So this here. So it should be should be working now. So let's see again. But this time we have to use the imported animation here. So we click on the imported one and play it. And now you can see the river is moving. This here doesn't look right. I had to fix this. I will have to use more faces at this part here. But I don't. It doesn't matter here. I'm not a perfect. Yeah. I think that's totally fine. And I think I will change the edge of the river here. You can here see here the green edges. Let's see if we can fix that. We go to our grass edge. Oh no, this is the wrong one. Gravel edges. Now this one, and I will use here clam. Yeah, clam should work. Yeah. You can see here the green edge is now fixed. And I will use, since the texture isn't repeating itself here, I will use mirror. So the texture is repeating itself and they are not cut off edges in. But that's just because I didn't edit the texture the right way. Yeah, and now we can save our grass and test it with our track. So let's save the track, the brres. And I will import it to our course. So now we are in game and we can see if the animation is working, if the textures are too bright, but in this case the textures are too dark, so I will have to change the shader of the track. And our animations are working. Oh, the water is not moving right. You saw here the cut. I will have to change the animation. Or the best thing is, or the easiest thing is, use the Koopa Cup animation. And the river is working too. Let's go to the river. And yes, okay. It is looking right. It is not cutting. We used the original one, so it should be looking exactly the same. And yeah. So now I will have to, the texture is a little bit dark, so I have to change the shader again. And then the track should be ready. In the next part we will add some more objects, maps. The river is at the moment not moving the player, so it is just a visual thing. And add the water splash if you fall into the water, and change the cameras. See you in the next part.